Welcome to a new episode of Opening Bid. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Like I always say, this is the podcast that will make you a better investor and a better leader, and we're leaning into both of those things today with our featured guest, Robinhood co-founder and CEO Vlad Tenev. Vlad, good to see you here at the NASDAQ. You should probably recognize this place. You were here in 2021, right?
That was a bit of a stressful time. You know, it's like we like being public, but the IPO itself was just this big sort of like spectacle. But yeah, I come back here, you know, they let us ring the bell once a year.
Cool.
So we were back recently, and that was actually quite fun as well.
You know what's fun too? Your market cap now is above the market cap on that first day of trading when it closed. 29 billion closed that day, today 49 billion. Mission accomplished, right? Nothing else to do?
Yeah, we're done. You know, the mission of democratizing finance for all complete. So now we have to find other things. No, but in all seriousness, I think that we felt like we were just getting started then. And what happens is, as we grow the business, the opportunity set gets bigger. So now it's gone from just helping people invest to, can we be the place where you can buy, sell, or hold any financial asset or conduct any financial transaction? So it's really expanded to all things that retail consumers do with their money, and eventually to institutional and businesses globally as well.
Was that the dream when you launched the platform?
I don't think we were thinking that far ahead. I think when we launched the platform, we thought the challenge of getting people to invest and kind of creating this new interface on mobile and getting commissions to zero was already so great. And it's back then when we were private, the fundraising milestones were kind of the moments to reflect. And what I discovered was, at each one, you get to maybe look back and celebrate a little bit, but most of the time you're spending reflecting on how to increase the value both to users and to shareholders by another 4 to 5x. So it's always sort of this relentless drive to get better, to improve the product and service that I think has served us well, particularly in a world that's increasingly competitive. I mean, this opportunity that we're going after isn't unique to us. Many companies would love to be the financial home for the next generation.
You've come on with us many times through the years, and we have like these 7-minute hits, and we talk about earnings, and then all right, we'll see Vlad a couple quarters from now. But we never actually dove into your story. I mean, did you, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, think you're gonna be leading a company like this?
No. I sort of stumbled into entrepreneurship. I went to Stanford. That brought me to the West Coast, and of course, Stanford is known as a place where entrepreneurship thrives. It has this very unique network of, you've got the venture capitalist firms, you've got the big tech companies, Meta and Google are all sort of like headquartered near there, and then you have the university itself. But I didn't go to study entrepreneurship or to start a business or to even work at a business. I wanted to be a physicist. So to me, what was really motivating is the big questions. What happened at the Big Bang? What happened before? Those kinds of questions really motivated me. So I came to become a physicist. And that's where I met my co-founder, Baiju, who I started Robinhood with. And he was also a math and physics guy. And we got lucky or unlucky, if you will, with the timing. When I graduated college was 2008. And I started grad school at UCLA doing a math PhD. So I was on a path to be a professor. But my first month in grad school, Lehman Brothers went under.
This is way more exciting than being a professor. This is like, I think it worked out for you, Vlad.
It's hard to compare. It's hard to compare against what I didn't experience, but I wanted to have impact. That's ultimately what drove me to want to go into academia, to make a discovery, to add something to the pantheon of the knowledge, and maybe something that kids will learn about in math and physics class, maybe 40 to 50 years from now. But people learning about investing and getting started earlier and that affecting millions of people brought me the impact that I was looking for, but maybe just in a different way.
Were your parents entrepreneurs?
My dad had some entrepreneurial ventures in Bulgaria. So I was born in Bulgaria, and he had a tourism business. So he studied at the French school, and as soon as Bulgaria was becoming more liberalized, so it was behind the Iron Curtain for a very long time, he had a little business where they were buying buses and taking French tourists around the country. Of course, he had to actually cut that short ultimately. He had to leave his business because he had an opportunity to come to the US. And then ever since he came here, him and my mom worked for the World Bank Group, the International Finance Corporation, for over 20 years each. So I think there was a seed of entrepreneurship, but my parents were generally, they moved the entire family to the U.S., which was like this giant risk.
And you knew
that they took.
They knew nobody here, right?
No, they were the first in our family to move. Yeah, and my aunt subsequently moved, and many people from my family still like visit over the years, but the bulk, our family is quite small. The bulk are actually still in Bulgaria.
Do you feel that pressure, to live up to their expectations?
I think that at first the pressure was quite high, but it was because we were visitors to the country. You're on a visa, you don't have the green card, so the specter of being here temporarily is so strong. And my parents were getting established in the early days, and I really felt like I was part of that. So we all had to work and contribute. They would sit down and tell me, hey, your dad's a grad student. I'm sort of like working part-time. Here in America, kids go to college. That's kind of the path to a job, a good job. But college is very expensive, so you're going to have to do really well to get a scholarship. So when I was very young, I think I kind of understood the reality. Now it happened to be that my parents ended up doing well later. They kind of like got good jobs. I could afford college, but that mindset early on was, I think, very helpful because I just learned what it meant to work hard.
It was. You mentioned we're here at the NASDAQ. It was a different time when you IPO'd. Do you think that drive and determination has helped you get the company into the spot it is today, where you are now looking at wealth management, retirement, you got credit cards, you're in the crypto business? I mean, it's a different company compared to 3 years ago.
I think there's always more to do. I think what really motivates me is I think that there's many things to be built. And, fundamentally, Robinhood is a company that applies technology to this new domain where, historically you haven't seen a lot of technology. The traditional financial industry has gone from filing cabinet and paper,
which they still use.
which they still use. Some have transitioned to mainframes, right?
They'll get there in a decade.
And then you've got like on-premise and cloud. But they're behind. It's very much not at the technological frontier. And I think a large part of what we did was ask like what would it look like if we just went to the technological frontier and we created a financial services company with like tech as the underpinnings. And you could solve a lot of problems with technology that you would need brick and mortar stores and lots of humans to solve historically. And there's an advantage in financial services because that lets you cut down the cost tremendously, which increases the value to customers. So I think that's the thesis, and I think that's an interesting one to me. It's kind of, you can look at it from a scientific first principles perspective and actually break down a lot of the products and services that consumers need and be very scientific about it. So every time I think we're getting close to filling people's financial needs, you see all sorts of new opportunities crop up and new opportunities for innovation. And the ones that I see in front of us now maybe are different or more clear than what I saw when we went public.
Do you view, it feels like to me, and not necessarily feels, it looks like this is a special opportunity right now in crypto. This year, how big will your crypto business be, and what's driving that?
Yeah, I think it's hard to estimate year over year. I mean, last year crypto grew tremendously year over year, but yeah, each year, it tends to be volatile as more people come in. There's more adoption. The long-term trend, I think, will be towards crypto being a bigger part of the financial system if there's regulatory clarity to get there. So one of the problems that we're seeing right now is that crypto is not able to be connected to real-world productive assets because those are regulated as securities.
Sure.
And so I think the next step will be allowing crypto technology to be connected to real assets. So for example, you could put private company stock or maybe public company stock on blockchains and allow them to trade very much like stocks at the NASDAQ trade today. The fact that as a retail consumer, you can't invest in companies like OpenAI or SpaceX, I think is just it's just a backwards vestige of the market from yesteryear, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang with us, Vlad. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid. Having a fun chat here with Robinhood co-founder and CEO Vlad Tenev, talking crypto. Really interesting opportunity and outlook for crypto. You think this is the year with stablecoin? Given the Trump administration seems friendly to the crypto industry, did they get this done?
I think so, and I think, yeah, I mean, there's already a stablecoin bill circulating, and there was one before the election as well. So I think this seems to be an issue where there's more alignment. I think the real thing with stablecoins is we need to figure out a better way to have them pass on interest. We're in a high interest environment. A lot of the leading stablecoins don't have a good way of doing that. I mean, if you think about Tether, they're not passing on any interest. And I think that's an opportunity for furthering more adoption. If you could easily get 4% on your stablecoin, now you not only have a reason to transact in it when you're doing crypto, but you now have a reason to keep your money in that stablecoin. At least it matches keeping your money in a high yield savings account, which I think is very, very powerful. So I think that's kind of the next frontier.
We're seeing crypto prices under pressure a little bit. Of course, there was that Bybit hack. When you saw that news, how concerning was it to you? Because I think a lot of people thought crypto is supposed to be safe. It's stored in wallets. If you lose your password, you can't access it. It's done. But here we had a hack, and it was pretty big.
Yeah, I think that the challenge with crypto, one of the things that makes it so powerful as well, is that the transactions are irreversible. So, if you send crypto to a non-custodial wallet, you don't have the key to that wallet, that crypto is irrevocably lost, right? And that's a double-edged sword. I mean, some people like that their transactions can't be reversed because reversal brings up the possibility of censorship. If I don't like your transaction, I could reverse it, and people don't like that possibility. But of course, the reason those things appear in the traditional financial system in the first place is because there's fraud and abuse, and then you sort of like build mechanisms to reverse stuff. So I think it's a young industry still, despite the fact that it's been over 15 years now since Bitcoin came out, and it's moving incredibly quickly. And I think that by and large, things are improving. Like the platforms that are around now have been battle tested through various crises and Bitcoin halving events and market crashes, so that there's a greater resilience than there was 10 years ago for sure. But from time to time, there's still going to be issues that happen.
We've seen recently news, the SEC is now looking at Coinbase, now looking at Robinhood Crypto. Big sigh of relief for you and your industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're happy to put that behind us. I think that there's so much to be built that at the end of the day, we'd rather not engage in litigation, particularly when we think that it's not well-founded and not based on anything real and just a general kind of attack on the industry. But that was the old administration. I think times have changed, and I think this was like a good marker to say that not just for Robinhood, but for the crypto industry, times are different now, and the U.S. is making a move to actually win this industry globally.
How friendly is this administration?
Well, I think that they're very friendly. I mean, you have David Sachs, who is, a very intelligent, smart. He's an investor, understands the space. Was very early to even talking to us about crypto. So they've got some smart people actually working on these things. So I think we're very optimistic that we're going to get a lot of stuff done.
You think a Bitcoin reserve is a thing? Do you
I have mixed feelings.
Does that excite you? Like, I think people say and they have no idea what the hell it even is.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the Bitcoin reserve. I mean, to me, there's been an announcement of a sovereign wealth fund, which I think in the context of if the U.S. as a country makes the decision that we'd like to invest in things, then I think Bitcoin should be considered in the realm of all things that we could possibly invest in. But I think that very little of the business happens in Bitcoin. International trade right now isn't happening in Bitcoin.
Paper currencies and.
I mean, it's happening in currencies. So I definitely understand why people want it. If you're early in Bitcoin and you have a lot of it, of course the U.S. coming in as a big buyer of it is very attractive. But yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. I think there's pros and cons, and should the U.S. really be investing taxpayer money on behalf of taxpayers? Yeah, maybe if we make that decision, I think Bitcoin should be one of many assets that should be considered.
Switching gears, because I didn't want this whole convo to be on crypto. Is Wall Street and markets prepared for 24/7 trading?
I don't know if all market participants are prepared for it. I think that there's going to be some changes, and we have 24/5 right now through 24-hour market at Robinhood, and it's been complicated to set up. I think that's a reason why not a lot of other people are doing it. Robinhood was early and pretty much alone for a long time. 24/7 is going to be tough with traditional infrastructure, but if we think about tokenization, that's one of the advantages for both retail and institutional consumers if we move in that direction, which is that blockchains run 24/7. It's just software. You don't depend on central brick and mortar clearing houses or transfer agents or any other entities for settlement. So the benefits of tokenization, one of the benefits are
if you want to trade NVIDIA after earnings, you're able to trade NVIDIA after earnings, right?
Yeah, and you still can to a great degree on our platform. It was interesting when we first launched 24-hour market a couple years ago. It took a while to actually have people understand the power of this technology. And I remember there were a couple of moments where you actually saw what it could do for you as a retail investor. One of them was the Discover Capital One merger. The news broke for that over a weekend.
Yep.
And the advantages of being able to access the markets on Sunday before Monday were quite strong, because if you think about it, if you're an active trader, you get in before you get in or manage your risk before other people do. And so I think that was like the first moment where if you wanted to capitalize on that opportunity or hedge your risk, you would have felt like you would have been at a disadvantage using any other platform than Robinhood. And I think that's really what 24-hour market is about. That's what our active trader strategy really is. We want to make sure that if you're an active trader, you would feel like you're at a disadvantage using any other platform than Robinhood.
How big is the Legend platform now? You just launched that.
We launched it a couple months ago. It's been growing very, very quickly. It's up to 50 million in ARR, so annual revenue run rate, just within a few months. And I wouldn't say that was necessarily a surprise. I mean, we like to keep our expectations low, because I think that makes it so that we give new products time enough to bake and we don't get discouraged. But we have seen that whenever we make an innovation for active traders, since right now very much we have a large active trader business and we're in the heyday of active traders at Robinhood, those innovations translate to business results more quickly than some of our other ones, which are longer term.
The last couple minutes, we always love to get hot takes, random questions for guests, but this one's in your wheelhouse. So
let's see. Okay.
How sucky are earnings calls?
I actually really like earnings calls. You might have noticed our last one that was, it was video.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our last earnings call before that was a bit sucky. Not for me personally engaging in it, but I like to watch the YouTubers and kind of the retail analysts who, they have these gatherings on YouTube where they play the earnings call and then they give commentary, they break it down, they're kind of hanging out with each other. It's very engaging. But what wasn't engaging is the earnings call itself. It's like you see the Robinhood logo, you hear Jason and I kind of droning on, reading the prepared remarks. So we were watching that. We were like, maybe we could do a little bit better here.
Like, when were these things invented? Like, you go to the website, Investor Relations, click a webcast, and you're listening to like 30 minutes of prepared remarks being read. I mean, this is like something completely out of 20 years ago. And it keeps out the retail investor, no?
I think it does, but I think it's going to change. Our earnings call, the first one on video, I think went well. I actually, I tweeted, I posted on X asking people if we should continue doing video or if, they don't care or going back to audio would be fine. And I was sort of expecting something a little closer to 50-50, maybe 70-30. Because actually sometimes I like doing an audio thing.
Sometimes the retail investors ask better questions. They just see the world in a different way, in a more human way. I mean, the analysts see it. I mean, I respect the analysts.
Yeah.
I was an analyst for a long time. They see in their model, ask a question, see you later. But I mean, it's helpful to get that input.
I think the institutional guys like the format too, to be honest. Hopefully they appreciated us kind of mixing it up and trying to make it informative, but also a little bit more engaging for them.
All right, we'll keep that innovation going. Always great to get some time with you. I can't believe it's been over over 3 years since the IPO here at the NASDAQ. Robinhood co-founder and CEO Vlad Tenev, good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, and that is it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Hit us with those thumbs up and stars on all the podcast platforms. Appreciate the love. Answer all your questions just like Vlad does on his earnings calls. I'll talk to you soon.